Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Monday in the Rib, and it's Memorial Day. So let's begin this Memorial Day by remembering what Memorial Day signifies. Uh,
Remember, all gave some, but some gave all.
Well, Memorial Day was started to remember those who gave all while in uniform, and a lot of people confuse Veterans Day and Memorial Day.
Yes,
Memorial
they
Day,
do.
but basically for the people who gave all. And there are a lot of people. I just want to add something to people. There are many, many who give all that people don't realize gave all. The people who die in combat, um, obviously, everybody knows about those. They're considered, their families are considered gold star families and things like this. But I want to remind people that there are many, many who fundamentally gave all uh, afterwards because of Agent Orange and cancer and suicides. At one time, the average was, I believe, 22 suicides a day of veterans. Um, nothing much was ever done with it by the government except talk about it. So there are many, 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 many men who were victims of, they were basically killed in action, but a very, very slow and painful death. And also people who died in training accidents and stuff like this. And that happens very often. I was sitting on a tarmac at the air base at Pope Air Base to make a parachute jump with the 6th Special Forces, and the 82nd was making a training jump ahead of us, and the C-130s were in the air. They went over the drop zones and dropped their troops, and when they came back, they took a plane to the end of the runway, and they were hosing it down. We thought there may have been a fire or something to that effect on the plane, but when we got back to the barracks after we jumped, we found that apparently they had a pilot that was there from Air National Guard on his 2 weeks active duty or something, read his altimeter wrong, and he flew through 8 jumpers and chopped up 8 jumpers with the propeller of a C-130. Things like that in those days did not even make the news. They just, training accident, the families were notified. So that happens all the time. We hear about helicopters going down. Not too long ago, a Marine helicopter went down, and all the Marines on that chopper were killed, and as they were training for their job. So this is a solemn day. It's not about hot dogs and hamburgers, and it's okay to have hot dogs and hamburgers, but we got to remember about about what this means and the people who did it. I was reminded, I think last year, I read the letter from Brad Tenney, who was the president of the Cambridge Firefighters Union, who was at Quezon. For those of you who don't know your history, especially military history, Quezon was one of the longest sieges in modern warfare. It lasted 77 days. and they were under siege for 77 days and being shelled virtually consistently, being probed by the enemy for nearly 77 days, and they took a lot of casualties, and a lot of those men who did come back from Kherson were never, that the PTSD was at a very high rate. They had no break. They couldn't get off the front lines, and they couldn't break a combat mission. They were under constant 24-hour, 7 days a week for 77 days. So when things like people need to be reminded of, the sacrifices are not only done in wartime, they're done every single day by our men and women in uniform, and they need our utmost respect. And on Memorial Day, we have to remember all those who gave all for our country. So with that, I'll close.
I'm going to tell you right now. Dave points out here the mayor's there, and a few city councilors. They weren't there because they were shown respect or being somber or grieving or any of that. They were there for the photo op.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I was told that Linda Pereira was on top of the float for the tomb of the unknown soldier, making sure she was standing out there so everyone could see her. She had to be point blank.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a photo op.
Yeah, that's all
Photo
it is.
op for them. And that's why I don't go to those things, because I might get arrested. No, yeah, it's a photo op. If she went to the tomb of the unknown soldier, she would see the kind of respect and dignity they give the unknowns.
There's no question about it.
In D.C. The army guard that basically walks and guards the unknown soldier. It's a very elite unit. You have to be fundamentally the same height, and you take a year tour there. You can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't go out. You basically are there for 1 year, and what you do is you walk the tomb of the unknown soldier and guard that tomb. And if somebody gets rowdy or attempts to come through, there are a couple of videos of soldiers telling people, and in a very, very, very military but precise and very forceful manner to, back off. This is what pisses me off about politicians. The same politicians who won't give minimum manning to fire departments will march behind a casket of firefighters who die in a line of duty. The same with police officers. So,
the sad part about it is
this is bull. This is bull. And on a day like today, that's why I don't do a lot of social interaction. I'm really not in the mood for that.
I respect that. That's why I didn't call you today, because I know what type of day this is for you today. And the thing is, I've been to Washington. I studied in Washington. Okay? I went to the various tombs and whatnot. And let me tell you something. The soldiers that are guarding the tomb of the unknown, 365 days, rain, sleet, snow, ice. They're there. They don't even take a piss break. Okay? That's their job. No smirking, no nothing. And that takes a great deal of respect and a great deal of fortitude to be able to do that job. So that people know we have not forgotten anyone. And it's important because our politicians have forgotten that. And here, El Grande Americano says, praying for our veterans and those MIAs that gave their lives and those still in captivity. wherever they are, as well as their families. My salute and my love.
David said, hello, Colin. Yeah, Alan Sylvia wasn't there. Well, I don't know. As you said, there's a great movie. I'm a big movie buff. There's a movie called Gardens of Stone with James Caan. Excellent, excellent movie. It's an old movie. It's themed on a god that guards the tombs of the unknown. It's a pretty powerful movie about the sacrifices they have to make, and also of the people that they inter in Arlington Cemetery. It's a they are a credit to our nation, and they have to sacrifice a tremendous amount of their own personal life to be on that detail. But it is because they look at it, as most military people do, as an extreme honor to be able to represent their country. And that's right. It's a day of remembering. It's not politicians. Because I see today they're walking down the street, and they're waving and there's no waving and smiling at the tomb of the unknown. They're very, very precise. They're very, very, it's about respect. It's not a social event. And I look at today, and you got Paul Coogan leading a parade while he's bringing death to this city. I think the city of Fall River is on the verge of dying, and the fact that we can't get people upset enough to come out and vote, if he gets in for another term, this city will become Detroit within the next 5 years.
Not even 5.
I can't. We have received, and we're going to deviate now, to get into some things that are important. Show what a stranglehold this corrupt organization has gotten. The way all these politicians are inbred Jed. We know that Ilhan Omar gave her husband $5 million for security. We know that Sheldon Whitehouse gave his wife $2.7 million in consulting fees, and they give all their friends and families money. Now it's been told, it is alleged, we have to check it. We just received this a day or so ago, and of course it's a holiday weekend, that Tom Coogan has now found a nice place to land after he left the school, retired from the school system, with his brother Mike over at AFSCME. So there's a guy from management. They're all in bed. How they ever hired Mike Coogan in a union after he was thrown out of the firefighters union, not only the local but the state union, for selling out his membership, and he's down here, and they're strong on everybody, and people are saying, well, we're afraid to complain. And then they negotiate with Ken Pacheco on a contract, and the 3 people who are on a negotiating team all get jobs. Now, that's illegal.
I was going to say, isn't that a violation of 158?
It absolutely is. And on the next show, I will have the case precedents, but I can tell you right now, if you look up 150E and look up under the duty, bypassing the union, look up under duty to represent, look up bypassing the union. It is a prohibited practice for any union official or any union member to bargain with the city or the school committee for themselves. They have to bargain as a unit for the entire union. That is the law. I know, because they tried it with me when I was the president. They tried to give their friends who were assigned to the Fire Prevention Bureau a special pay raise. And I said I would only accept that pay raise if they opened up all those jobs to bid, and they withdrew the offer, because it was about the people, not the job. And I made a very strong case, and I also told them, if you ever do that again, I'm going to have all your asses, because I'll file an unfair labor practice before the end of the day. This is a criminal organization. They control everything. You got a guy that was negotiating on the management side. Now he's working on the union side, and the brother's still the mayor, and they get jobs everywhere. I don't know if he was ever in a union. So it's like now he's working for AFSCME. I mean, this is absurd. How many more family members are going to be employed somewhere in that vast network, like an octopus that they have reach over? Are they going to get a job at the bank? In the mortgage department? The guy that used to be over at the guy that used to have a federal job over there where Mike Dion was, now he's in the housing authority, right?
That's it.
All the family and extended family are all over the place. They got a stranglehold on this city.
And he just gave himself a raise.
You or
And
your
he just
tax
gave himself a raise at the housing authority.
And they don't care about you or your tax dollars or the fact that you can't afford rent. So get over it. I don't give a damn. I don't care who's running. They go, nobody bothered to run. Well, somebody better vote for somebody. Anybody but Coogan. You can't. I mean, this is a criminal. This is almost a RICO violation. They've nearly got a criminal organization running this city.
The problem
under
is
the guise of being an elected official,
right.
and they're intimidating everybody.
Colin,
they call us, and they're literally in tears, in fear.
Right.
Don't mention my name. Please don't mention my name. They'll come after me.
That's right. And Colin, that's the situation you have to deal with in the school department. You have employees which are afraid to speak because they're afraid they're going to get fired or they're afraid they're going to be abused. Because that's what Paul does. And Paul's minions.
Yeah, well, you know, Colin, you're right. Plenty of violations of 150E, but the problem is, in order to get a violation of 150E processed, you have to actually have a union that's not in bed with the mayor. Remember when the mayor gave the president of a city-side union a $20,000 pay raise? You told me that's not a bribe. A $20,000 pay raise to the president of the union, mysteriously. Now they get people who are working, and we know that it's alleged, but we've got far too many people that say it's happened that was doing a part-time job, and then they turn around and say, "What did they tell us? Go sue Spindle City Straight Talk, scare them off." Well, they didn't scare us off. Come and get it, but they're afraid. So how are you going to sue the union? When the union's in bed with the mayor, they're going to get rid of you. They got rid of a previous president. They said they want to charge her with kidnapping and everything. She left the city. Now these people, I think that contract got approved by 3826. And those 26 people, what you should do is withdraw from the union. You can withdraw from the union and pay them an agency fee. You shouldn't pay that union dues. They're afraid to file a complaint because the complaint is going to go to Mike Coogan.
That's right.
Because he's in charge of this district of AFSCME. They're going to file a complaint against Paul Coogan and the school committee and Kenny Pacheco and the union, and it's going to go to the union. What union? I know. Well, of course, that's what they do, Colin. And kudos to you for standing there in a line of fire. I did it for, they came after me. They tried to fire me. They tried everything. But you got to, that's what you got to, but those people who are in these unions, it's a disgrace. As a guy who was a union man who represented people I didn't like as vigorously as people I did like if they were right. And when my friends were wrong, I told them they were wrong. You're in a union and you're paying dues and you got the Coogans running a union. You got a stranglehold on there are very few independent unions in this city left. They've all been bought and paid for. Oh, we're going to give them extra days off.
Look at the contracts Coogan gave. 15%, 18%. The only one that didn't get that was who? Yeah. The fire department?
Yeah. Well,
and the police department. The police department didn't. The fire department got a big pay increase. The police department did it because they want to jump in bed with them.
But yeah, but then you have to listen to the propaganda they use. Well, if we don't give them a pay raise, they'll go somewhere else. Well,
Right.
let them go somewhere
Let
else.
them go somewhere else.
Bottom line is that the city and the unions once lived in a world of reality. I had to take 0 pay increases often when the city was in financial, because the mayor would say, take me to arbitration. We can't afford it. And I'd look at the books, and if they were right, everybody had to take 0 in the city, because we knew if we went to arbitration, I went to arbitration twice. I won twice because I knew they could afford the pay raises we were asking for.
But
there were other times,
right.
but we lived in a reality. We lived in a reality of the moment that the mayor was saying, I can't raise the tax rates. Coogan don't give a shit. Coogan don't care. He's not going to live in Fall River, that Bobby townhouse. We got to check out his tax rate, but he's not going to stay there. He moved out of Fall River as soon as he retired. He came back to be a politician and carpetbag and get all his money. And he's going to run away as soon as he's no longer mayor. And the other people involved in this cabal are also rich. They don't care what the tax rate is. They're making enough side money to pay their tax rate 10 times over.
All they care about is their tip.
Bent over, and they're not smart enough to go to the polls. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care. It can't get any worse. It can't get any worse. Talk about authoritarian regimes, Nazism. This city, I've never seen the fear of union members I've seen with this guy. In 6 years, he's managed to take total control of everything. And everybody's scared. They're petrified. I remember when a school teacher struck, and it's illegal. You remember that, CJ?
Yes, I do.
They went on strike. They gave the man a finger. They violated the law. They were willing to go to jail. That's what you call the union.
That's right. And I remember the president at that time.
That's right. Jerry Fallon.
Jerry Fallon. He had a set of cojones on him. Didn't matter.
Right. Jerry Fallon, good friend of mine. And also, they had some other presidents after that, but they would stand up and they would fight. And mayors also cared about what happened to the people of Fall River because they wouldn't get reelected. But now you got a malaise in Fall River that, to me, I can't believe it. I can't believe we got 40,000 people who sat on their ass during an election day. I don't give a damn who you elect. You could elect 6 bozos to the city council and let them stay there for one term and get rid of them. Maybe once the people who want to run for election realize that you'll actually get your ass out and vote, they'll run. We can't get anybody to run because they can't get in because nobody shows up to vote. And granted, part of that's on them because they don't campaign vigorously enough. But the fact is, I've never seen it like this. And I'm not being melodramatic. I lived this. They tried to pass me over for captain when I was number 1 on a list. I had to fight for that job because I was the union president. It made front page news when they tried to pass me over for district chief. I had to actually bring them in, swear them in under oath, and have them rat out each other and throw each other under a bus for me to make district chief. I couldn't make chief of the department. I was told straight, you will never be the chief of this department because you will not do what you're told. So that's fine. That was my choice. I could have said, well, I'll do what you tell me to do, and you just make me chief. And I told him to stick it where the sun doesn't shine. But that's the difference. The difference is that in those days, unions fought the city. They would picket the mayor. They would picket Eddie Lambert's house. I remember the time that we had a fire commissioner when we were having problems with Eddie, that Eddie appointed, and we were driving by in a chief's car, and he pegged me a finger. So I made a big deal out of it, which it was. I said, listen, I'm in uniform. I'm in a chief's car. I'm putting my life on the line. I'm at work today. You want to peg a finger at me, peg a finger at me when I'm off duty and out of uniform. You're doing that to the fire service. And I went home. I was coming home to get off duty. I changed my clothes and I went back to that island near Prince Henry statue. And I told that a-hole, you want to peg me a finger now that I'm standing in front of you? Ironically, he didn't want to. He immediately became silent. But that's the difference. People could go to their unions. Now they go to their unions, and who are they going to? Mike Coogan, a president that just got a $20,000 raise from Paul Coogan. 3 people are bargaining their contract. They're getting a job from Kenny Pacheco. Where the hell's the FBI? Where the hell's the Attorney General? Everything about this is wrong. You can't have the brother on the management side, the other brother on the labor side, and the other brother financing the contract. You don't think that's a conflict of interest? And when they ask me to complain, they go, oh, nothing you can do about it. The contract got approved. Of course there is. You can file a complaint against the union, but they're afraid to. They're afraid to file complaints. This city is in a stranglehold. They are going. You think he's bad now? Wait till you see if he gets another term. Nobody gives a shit. I don't know. Does anybody in the audience, have they driven by County Street and saw those obscene edifices to this ravaging of this city by these developers that used to be the parking lot of O'Gill's? They have a 3-unit, I don't even know what you call it. They used to call it, they had the 2. They had the 2 occupancies. But they got 3 separate doors with 3 separate, I don't know what they're going to call them, condominiums. I don't know what they're going to call them. But they got these things, and if you walk out the front door, you're on the sidewalk of Earl Street. You're on a sidewalk. You walk out the front door, you take 1 step, you're on a sidewalk. You walk out the back door, you got about 8 feet in your backyard. This is nuts. Yeah. They're all afraid to file a complaint. You see, I can't file a complaint on 150E because I'm not a party. I don't have standing. The court would say, what are you filing this for? I'm investigating how school committeemen can do that because I know we have some school committeemen that are interested in how to do it. You see, when I filed complaints for the union against the city and against mayors and stuff, I was the president of a labor union and I was an aggrieved party. So, I mean, but we have a serious situation in this city. I don't know if anybody could even grasp the seriousness of the situation that we have. There's absolutely, they're just laughing at everybody because they know there's nothing they can do. They sick these people who are working on the side that should have been fired on Kevin Aguirre. Go have an investigation on him. Now he's cleared, and I've been told that Coogan refuses to investigate the people who filed for the investigation. You know why? Because he's the guy that gave one of those guys a promotion.
That's right.
And he knows he was working. I mean,
payola, baby. Lots of payola.
You can't make this shit up.
No, you cannot.
You cannot make this shit up. If we wrote this down, if CJ and I wrote a giant book together, not a weekend flush, but a book on this thing, you know, they think they'd put it on the fiction aisle. They would not believe it's true. Nobody would believe it. No publisher would say that this could actually happen. They'd say this is fiction. Well, I have to check that with the labor attorney, Colin. I mean, I know you're aggrieved, but the problem is that right now they are right. Unfortunately, they are right about the contract being accepted. So you have no recourse except to prove that the union acted in bad faith. That may be the avenue. I am going to talk to my guy. I'm not going to call him on a Memorial Day weekend, but I am going to call him, and I will let you know. You could be aggrieved because you feel that the process was tainted because of these jobs being given out without bids. I'm going to have to check into that argument. But one of the union members could theoretically file a complaint against the union for failure in their duty to represent. That would be a slam dunk. Yeah, but he won't shut up. You're right, Louis. They put it on and they try to scare him. They're trying to intimidate Colin. They're trying to intimidate Kevin. They're not going to intimidate either one of those guys. It shows how dumb they are. But it also shows how arrogant they are. They know it's not going anywhere. They know that they're not going to back off. But they're just going to do that to show that they can mess with them. Okay, I'm going to make your life miserable. We're going to bust your chops as much as we can because we own the city. They got a new, I don't know, CJ, you still got Showtime? You watching that new series, Mobland?
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's what we got here, Mobland.
Well, you got a former mayor that's going to play a wise guy in an upcoming movie.
That's right. We got a mayor that's playing a wise guy, and in Mobland, you got two Irish English mob leaders. So we got Paul Coogan, you know, from the from Tammany Hall running the city. So this is, but we got a mob. We got Mobland in Fall River.
You remember how we always talk about how Fall River is mentioned in movies and TV programs? I was watching a program this morning, and they said, where are you going to go? Going back to New York? He says, well, I was thinking of going to Fall River because, you know, the corruption there is so deep. It's all set. And then the other character said, yeah, but remember, Lizzie Borden was there. And remember, Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. And the reporter turned around and said, and gave her father 41. Yeah, I'm going to New York.
Jeff. Yeah, that's right. And you know the irony of this, that it was nowhere near as bad as it is now when we got a guy who ran against that guy and said, I'm not him. It's a pretty sad state of affairs when you say, we'd rather have him in office again.
Exactly.
Because he was not, you know, I mean, he was corrupt. He was making some money on the side from people, but I don't think he ever had any allegations of him doing anything that would harm, you know, I mean, he disgraced the office by behaving that way, obviously. So, but he never did anything to, I know of anything that hurt the people of Fall River. He didn't do, you know, the healthcare was running, you know, the way it was always on the up and up. We had, you know, we negotiated, we had disagreements and we talked them out. You know, collective bargaining was, you know, it's never an easy road, but everything was run according to basically the book. You didn't see a lot of, you didn't see the threats and the intimidation. I mean, this regime, this is like gangs in New York. We got a combination of Mobland and gangs in New York in Fall River here. We got the, you know, we got the dead rabbits running the city of Fall River.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
But I mean, it's scary. And I don't know what we can do to get these people out to vote. I mean, it's not up to us. It's up to everybody out there. It's up to these candidates to go knock on doors. Don't go to, you know, we'll have you on the show, but God, get out there. Go to the coffee shops. Go to the neighborhood meetings. Fire people.
Just like we did. We talked to people everywhere. We were at coffee shops. We were at restaurants. We went everywhere. We didn't care. We were asked to leave a few places. Don't get me wrong. We were asked to leave a few places because the conversation started to get a little hot, but they knew that was the nature of their business. When the conversations got a little hot, everybody was asked to leave. or shut up, one or the other. And you know me, I won't shut up till I left.
We even had the police down here, so a few times, and with somebody that's become a friend because he was on the other side. But it was, but you know, that's the irony of it. It shows even then they were beginning to ignore the law. We tried to get in. Remember when we tried to get into the high rises and they threw all kinds of stuff at us?
Yeah.
And we had a Supreme Court decision that said we could go into the high rises and we could knock on every door. If somebody came to the door and said, I don't want to talk to you, you had to leave.
That's
but
right.
You had the right to enter a public housing facility, and they blocked us and threw all kinds of legal obstacles up until the thing was over. And, you know, we never did get in.
Colin.
New mold problem. Well, don't worry about it. Kenny Pacheco will go to a no-bid contract, pay somebody else not to remove the mold, Nelson. Let's get more we'll get more details on that to be followed.
Colin, start looking into that.
We'll start looking into it.
Before Ken Pacheco turns around and says to you, it doesn't matter. We had to do the job anyways. Doesn't matter how much it costs. And my question is, we paid so much money, why isn't it taken care of? Oh, okay.
Colin knows it. All right, yeah. Well, I got the pictures. I still got the pictures.
And Colin, if you've already paid once to remediate the mold, why is it back? What didn't they do?
And the next question is, who's going to jail?
Right.
Who's going to jail? What company's getting sued? Colin, silly you. Why should you be informed? You're only a school committeeman. They don't have to tell you anything. This is the Coogan administration. You guys don't know anything. You're not supposed to know. Shut up and show up and vote the way Paul wants. But don't bring it. Don't get lettuce with your turkey sandwich. That's all.
Because that's right. Because your
turkey sandwich, you're going to have a real major complaint. The hell with the pig. People are getting poisoned by mold in the schools again. I have the pictures. If you don't have copies of them, let me know. I'll send you the copies that we have. We keep everything in files. We've got the pictures of the mold in the ducts and everything else. So we know that this is. We got to put that one up. Oh, I love this one. Get it up there. Well, I hope your response was, that's your job as an elected public official. It's your job.
That's right.
It's not your job to do everything behind closed doors. The Constitution of this Commonwealth clearly states you will be answerable to the people at all times. You can't be answerable to the people if you don't make backroom deals. Well, you wait a minute. This is why you're right. 3 people on a bargain committee, 3 people get jobs and pay raises.
That's right.
No bid. Even though there's a bid system. No bid system. You give this mysteriously to 3 people who are on a bargain committee, get a job from the guy they're bargaining against. But there's nothing wrong with that. Shut up. Don't question it. It's normal. The contract was approved. Well, the contract is approved, but it doesn't make any difference. It's fruit of the poisonous tree. I mean, this is outrageous. It is outrageous.
Please, Colin, send it to me.
This city is on its way to total destruction. Total destruction. Yeah. Just keep the Mimi Laravies on the school committee.
And the Tom Coreys.
And Tom Corey, but he isn't running. Is he running? No. Did I hear a rumor that he was not running this time again?
Who? Bailey? Corey? I don't know.
Well, I guess he got everybody in his family a job. He can take a year off.
He can take a year or 2 off now. Hey, El Grande Americano says, does anyone remember when Biden was speaking in Somerset and he revealed that he had cancer about 2 or 3 years ago? Interesting. People have convenient memories. Very bad report. No kidding, Colin. Guess what? The school system should be taken over by the state because the mayor can't handle it.
And I want to know.
The superintendent is not qualified.
Well, are we going to hear from the mayor again like he did when Kenny misappropriated funds and spent money he shouldn't have spent? Oh, don't worry about it. He's a nice guy. Tommy Curry can go on his tirade like he's at a roast. And nobody cares. He should have been fired for the 22 windows. He should have been fired for that. When is the school committee? When is the school committee going to say, demand that these companies, there's legal action taken against them? Who remediated the mold? Was that another no-bid contract from Kenny? Where's the FBI investigation? What the hell are they doing with taxpayer money? They're poisoning the children. They're poisoning the staff. And what do we do with the school committee? Shut up. Don't say anything publicly. Do you realize how wrong that is?
Hey, Colin, was that report from DESC provided to you redacted? Just out of curiosity, seeing that Paul doesn't want the school committee to get any reports unredacted.
Listen, Paul has no regard for the law. Remember when firefighters won the arbitration and he wrote a letter to the school, to the city councilor, which is illegal. No, it wasn't redacted.
No, it wasn't redacted. And he's going to share it. You got my email address. Send it to me.
Share it. Send it over. Spindle City Straight Talk will do a whole episode on that baby. Oh, you got to love it. Where are the people of Fall River? 40,000 people didn't vote. We don't need you all. 10,000 extra, and half of these people will be gone.
Good. I'm glad it wasn't redacted. Finally.
We need.
Just so you are aware, okay? If
but
the mayor
everybody shut up, go behind closed doors, and you two can get a job. In the old days, it was you ran for the union to fight for the people, for the members. Today, you run a union to get nice deals for yourself and your friends.
That's it.
I don't have to show up for work. I get a pay raise. You know, the $20,000 pay raise, bargaining outside the union for himself. Who the hell ever heard of a union president getting that kind of a pay raise when he's supposed to be actually being adversarial against the city?
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
Lowest performing 10% of schools. Imagine that. All the money that Paul said would go into this school to improve the performance of the students. And what was the statement we made? Buildings do not educate students.
Thank you for remembering that. Exactly what we said. Buildings do not educate children, but they make people a lot of money.
That's right. Now, remember, Colin, if the mayor refuses to provide to you a copy of the report unredacted, and you've requested it under the Public Records Act, you can request that the Director of Public Records at the Attorney General's office or the Secretary of State's office order him to provide that unredacted, and he'll have to suck it up.
Unbelievable. I mean, and it's getting worse and worse. The more power, the longer he stays in, the more arrogant and belligerent they get because they think they're untouchable. Well, his brother went down once with hubris. It's not arrogance anymore. It's not ego. It's hubris. The great sin that was talked about by the Greeks. Hubris, and hubris will always bring you down.
I just sent you an email, Colin.
Moa. Okay. I'm going to leave for one quick second here. I'm going to get a visual aid.
One from 2 school committee meetings. Is that what it is? From 2 school committees meetings where he handed out the reports regarding the mechanic, and it was all redacted, and he didn't want to provide unredacted copies to anyone on the school committee. So if you requested it via public records, he has to provide it to you on unredacted, unless it's a personnel matter. If there is information regarding personnel issues such as repercussions, penalties, terminations, whatever the case may be.
I'm back, but I must have, because I had them so long in that file, I moved the file. So I've had the pictures of all the crap in the ducts, but we've all got them anyway. But I just wanted to remind everybody how disgusting they were. But we'll have video. We can have them at any time we want. But this is a disgrace. How much did we pay? Don't question them publicly. We'll have to tell you how much we paid for that in the remediation that the taxpayers went on the hook for, and it never got done. Are they going to sue the company? Are they going to demand to do the job right? Are we going to get remuneration for this? No, we're not going to get shit. What we're going to get is shut up, because you can't do a damn thing about it, because we got a total control over this city. We can violate the law at our will, and everybody's afraid to fight us. And the people who are willing to fight you don't have standing in that fight. I mean, if I hit Powerball, I would find a way to do it.
Oh, believe me, if I were Powerball,
I'm not going to spend my hard-earned money suing the city when our elected officials should be doing this job. And Colin is trying to do it, and Kevin is trying to do it, but they are being blocked at every turn.
Tom Corey, Mimi Larrabee, Bailey, and Shelley Pereira.
The audacity to tell you that they did not want you to bring things up publicly. That's what the hell we elected you for.
Obviously, Tom Corey, Mimi Larrabee, Bailey, and Shelley Pereira don't understand what their job is. They think it's just to kiss the mayor's ass, okay? Or give him a rusty trombone, as they used to call him.
Well, look, bottom line is that, look, they got those positions.
El Grande Americano. Tom Corey? You mean W.C. Fields?
What we have to do is we have to fight this. And well, yeah, the result. No, Nelson. Yeah, they spend millions of dollars and there's never any improvement because the school committee does not care about the students, just like the city administration doesn't care about the taxpayers. It's give everybody a job, give everybody a pay raise. Why doesn't somebody go in and say, this thing is so abysmal, everybody in administration is getting a 20% pay cut? And you're not going to get a pay raise again until we get above the 50% mark. We're so far underwater, it's incredible.
No, I want to know who Paul's sleeping with. I want to know who Paul's sleeping with. Because obviously, somebody at DESE doesn't think it's important. Or maybe he's just paying somebody off. Or maybe he gave somebody a job.
Or maybe a state rep called up and put a little political pressure on them.
Exactly. This is the stuff that happens.
Stranger things have happened.
This is true. And by the way, these were all what ifs. They're not that they're happening, they're what ifs.
Yep.
Making it clear.
All I know is if there's another mold problem, they did not remediate the thing properly.
That's right.
I don't want to hear the BS. They don't want anything to go public because, listen, if we had a litany of everything they covered up for 6 years, I don't know how anybody could cast a vote in good conscience for Paul Coogan. Well, I have to revise that. I mean people with an actual moral compass and who care about people of Fall River. Now, all those assholes who got giant pay raises, jobs that they didn't deserve, got forgiven for misspending money when they should have been fired. Look at Kenny Pacheco is the biggest example of that. Here's a guy that categorically refused to identify who was responsible for the 22 window fiasco. And he didn't lose his job. The city council didn't say, you won't tell us you're fired. This is your job. You got to tell us what happened. We're the fiduciaries of the taxpayers' money. You don't tell us you're gone. You should have been gone. No, you're gone to the school department where you're going to get another pay raise, and you can do it again over there. And Paul Coogan's going to say, don't worry about it. Yeah, you know, you did. He made a mistake. Made a mistake. That's taxpayer money. You can tell you never had a job with any fiduciary responsibility, Paul. You can't do that.
Here's the issue. Those 22 windows, we've never heard who put them in. Did we ever get a bill? Who paid for them? Somebody had to pay for them.
Somebody
got somebody
that was in arrears with their taxes got
their tax
bill erased.
That's right, which means the taxpayer took it on the chin again.
That's right. We made up the taxes. I can tell you one thing. Everybody gets a deal but the people of Fall River with this guy. Westport gets to pay 50 cents on a dollar for water after they stiffed us for years not paying their bill. You don't pay your water bill. You got to lien on your property. You know, they'll have marshals at your house. But everybody else gets a deal. And like I said, a combination of gangs of New York and mobland. This makes Tammany Hall look like a Girl Scout troop.
This is true.
I'm telling you.
This is true. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. Remember, take some time out today to remember those who have given everything.
On Memorial
freedom. Okay? Because it's important that you remember what they've given for you.
Every day.
Every day. Not just today. Exactly. Thank you for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a great day.